Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. The dining room felt heavy that night, though the chandelier above cast its usual soft glow. Cole Harrington sat across from his wife, Madeline, who clutched her wine glass like it was the only thing keeping her steady. She didn't meet his eyes. "Cole," she began, her voice calm but too measured. "I need space." His fork stilled halfway to his plate. "Space," he echoed. "Yes, I love you, but I've been feeling disconnected from myself. I want to spend some evenings alone. Time to reset, reflect, breathe. Please don't take it the wrong way." Cole leaned back, studying her. Maddie had never been one to crave solitude. She thrived on social gatherings, dinners, attention. Now she was asking for scheduled isolation. The request carried the weight of something rehearsed. "If that's what you need," Cole said slowly, "I'll respect it." She exhaled, relief washing over her face, as though she'd been bracing for resistance. But inside, Cole felt the first stir of unease. Within a week, Maddie's me time turned rigid, Tuesdays and Fridays without fail. She slipped out in tailor dresses, heels clicking against the hardwood, perfume lingering in the hall. She returned near midnight, humming softly, glowing as if she'd stepped straight out of a dream. Cole didn't accuse. He observed. "How was your night?" he asked casually. "Lovely," she answered with stories of cafes, bookstores, yoga classes. But her sketchbook gathered dust. The cafe she mentioned closed at 9 p.m., hours before her return. Even the gym clothes she packed stayed neatly folded in her bag. The cracks widened quickly. One Tuesday, a mistake gave Cole confirmation. A rideshare receipt hit their shared email. Maddie had forgotten to unlink her account. The pickup, their building. The drop-off, a trendy wine bar across town. That same night, she breezed through the door at midnight, smiling, claiming she'd meditated alone in the park. Cole didn't sleep that night. He stared at the ceiling, the truth gnawing at him. He could confront her, but accusations without proof would only invite lies, gaslighting, tears. He didn't want another argument. He wanted certainty. Control. The very next morning, fate gave him a chance. While grabbing coffee, he ran into Jordan Kane, an old friend who'd made a living in private investigation. After catching up briefly, Jordan grinned. "If you ever need someone followed, give me a call. I still take the occasional job." Those words stuck with him. That evening, as Maddie left in her silk blouse and heels, Cole's decision solidified. The next morning, he dialed Jordan. "I don't want drama," Cole said, his voice steady. "I just need the truth." Quietly, Jordan didn't hesitate. "I'll get you what you need." By Friday, the evidence was in his inbox. Photos time-stamped. Maddie with a tall man, Travis Monroe, outside a bistro, hand in hand. Later, walking into a loft downtown. Hours after, leaving together, laughing intimately. Cole studied the images with a chilling calm. No anger, no begging questions, just resolve. That night, he moved methodically through the apartment. He documented valuables, locked away paperwork, and phoned Russell Avery, the building supervisor. "You may need to adjust unit access soon," Cole said quietly. Russell, professional and discreet, simply replied, "Understood." By the time Maddie returned from her so-called solo evening, Cole was ready. He wasn't going to shout. He wasn't going to plead. He was going to end this on his terms and build a revenge so precise she'd never recover from it. Cole Harrington woke before dawn the following Tuesday, long before Madeline stirred. He brewed coffee quietly, his movements precise, controlled, almost ritualistic. On the surface, he looked like any other husband starting his day. But behind those calm motions was a mind already 10 steps ahead. Madeline padded into the kitchen just as he was pouring the second cup. She wore a silk robe, her hair deliberately tousled, giving the illusion of intimacy. "You're up early," she said, her voice soft. "Work deadlines," Cole replied evenly, sliding the mug across the counter. He didn't mention that his actual deadlines had been carefully cleared weeks ago. His real project now was her downfall. She kissed him on the cheek, the act mechanical, then retreated to shower. He watched her leave, and in that moment, his suspicion hardened into conviction. Every touch, every smile, had become an act of theater, That evening, Madeline dressed to leave again. Tuesdays and Fridays had become as predictable as the sunrise. Cole leaned against the doorway, casual but deliberate. "Meditation night again?" he asked, his tone light. She froze for half a second too long before answering. "Yes. Clears my head." Cole smiled faintly. "Have fun." Inside, his resolve sharpened. Jordan Kane, his investigator friend, had already given him the truth. Now, Cole needed to execute the next stage, control of the environment. He installed discrete, cloud-connected cameras in shared areas of their apartment, positioned carefully behind plants and vents. Nothing invasive, nothing in bedrooms, only common spaces. Enough to build a record, enough to shield himself from any accusation she might try later. The following morning, he emailed Madeline formally, not from his personal account, but from a new address he created solely for this purpose. For clarity and protection of property, security devices have been activated in shared living zones. This is non-negotiable. Transparency will prevent misunderstandings. When she read it, her eyes blazed. "You can't do this, Cole. You're treating me like a criminal." He didn't raise his voice. Trust was compromised. "This ensures safety for both of us." She stormed off, slamming the bedroom door. Cole returned to his coffee, unshaken. Days passed, and the atmosphere grew heavier. Madeline grew restless. She turned to petty sabotage, leaving lights on, wasting hot water, turning up the music during his work calls. One evening, he found a coffee stain deliberately spilled across important documents on his desk. He didn't lash out. He simply backed up every file digitally, scanned the stained pages, and logged the incident with timestamps. Each action went into a folder marked documentation, a quiet arsenal for the battles ahead. By day 10, Madeline escalated. Cole returned home to find her sister, Sabrina Maddox, lounging on the sofa with crossed arms, her expression sharp as a blade. "This ends now," Sabrina snapped. "You can't treat my sister like some tenant you're throwing out. She has rights, Cole. You're heartless." Cole set his briefcase down with deliberate calm. "Sabrina, she isn't on the lease. She's an unregistered occupant who's been given notice. That's not cruelty. That's protocol." Madeline stood behind her sister, arms folded, glaring. "You'll regret this, Cole," she spat. "People will know what kind of man you really are." He met her eyes without flinching. "Truth doesn't bend to threats. You chose deception. Now you deal with consequence." The sisters exchanged glances, their confidence flickering under his composure. But Cole knew they weren't done. They were setting the stage for a fight, and he was ready. The following week, the matter landed in court. Cole arrived with his attorney, Clara Whitfield, a razor-sharp professional who carried folders like weapons. The evidence was stacked. Jordan's photographs, time-stamped notes, security footage of deliberate sabotage, and meticulous logs of every inconsistency. Madeline tried to play the victim, tears streaming as she claimed Cole was controlling, cruel, distant. Sabrina whispered frantically in her ear, fueling her performance. But when Clara laid out the evidence, clean, factual, undeniable, the judge's expression hardened. "Mrs. Harrington," the judge said flatly, "this is no longer a viable shared arrangement. Mr. Harrington has provided compelling proof. Effective immediately, he is granted exclusive residency. You are to vacate by the deadline already set." The gavel struck, and just like that, her facade crumbled. Madeline's jaw dropped, her face drained of color. Sabrina squeezed her hand, whispering something venomous, but the damage was done. Walking out of the courtroom, Cole felt no triumph, no surge of victory, just clarity. He wasn't driven by rage anymore. He was driven by closure. Still, his revenge was far from over. Back at the apartment, he moved with quiet efficiency. Movers were scheduled, locks were prepared for replacement, neutral witnesses lined up. Every piece had been arranged without her knowledge. On the morning of the move, Madeline refused to get out of bed. Sabrina sat smugly on the couch, scrolling on her phone, waiting for a fight. But Cole didn't give them drama. He gave them inevitability. As he began boxing up her belongings, Madeline finally erupted. "You can't just discard me like garbage," she shouted. "I'm not," Cole said evenly. "The movers will treat your belongings with care. I've already paid for the first month of storage. After that, it's your responsibility." When Sabrina rose, blocking the hallway with her phone raised to film. Cole didn't flinch. Record everything. But be sure to include the part where your sister carried on an affair while living here. That's the whole story. Her smirk faltered. Madeline's fury shifted to desperation. She looked less like the confident woman sneaking out for secret evenings, and more like someone standing on a collapsing stage. Cole had set the trap perfectly, and this was only the beginning of her unraveling. The movers finished their work with professional efficiency, boxing up Madeline's clothes, shoes, and the little trinkets she'd once claimed carried sentimental value. Cole Harrington stood by silently, hands folded behind his back, his expression unreadable. To the movers, he looked like any other client managing a tense separation. But inside, he felt the weight of something bigger. This wasn't just about removing her from his home. It was about exposing her illusions for what they truly were. By early afternoon, the guest room stood bare. The air felt lighter, freer. The locksmith arrived soon after, moving quickly, changing out locks with steady precision. Cole watched from the kitchen counter, sipping black coffee. Each click of the lock turning felt like another nail sealing shut that chapter of his life. Then, just as the movers wheeled out the final box, the door opened unexpectedly. Travis Monroe stepped inside. The man looked younger in person than in Jordan's photos, but no less smug, tall, broad-shouldered, his car keys clenched like armor. He hesitated when his eyes met Cole's. Madeline called me," Travis muttered, glancing toward her. She stood frozen near the entryway, her face a mask of fury and humiliation. She said she needed help. Cole didn't blink. He extended a steady hand toward the man who had so confidently shared his wife's time. "Travis, thanks for coming. You can help her label the boxes for storage. The first month's already paid." Madeline's face burned crimson. "Cole, don't bring him into this. He's already in it," Cole replied flatly. His tone wasn't angry. It was final. He can help tie up the mess he helped create. For a long moment, silence held the room. Travis shifted uncomfortably, then perhaps out of guilt, or perhaps to avoid looking weak, he knelt and began taping boxes. His hands moved awkwardly, the picture of a man suddenly realizing the fantasy wasn't as glamorous as he'd imagined. Madeline's eyes darted between them, searching for a foothold, a way to regain control. But she found none. For the first time, she was cornered. By 2 p.m., the apartment was cleared of her belongings. The movers wheeled the last load out, and Cole stood in the doorway, arms crossed, while Travis awkwardly carried a box down the hall. When the door shut behind them, silence reclaimed the space. Madeline tried one final time. "Cole," she said, her voice trembling now, "you don't have to do this. We can work through it. It was just a mistake." Cole turned to her, his expression carved from stone. "A mistake happens once. You build a routine. Tuesdays, Fridays, weeks of deception. That's not a lapse. It's a second life." Tears welled in her eyes, but Cole didn't flinch. He gestured to the bare guest room. "That part of your life is gone. You leave with him, or you leave with your sister, but you're not staying here." Her lip trembled, but she didn't answer. She simply turned, slammed the door behind her, and walked down the hall. Cole exhaled slowly, alone now in a home that finally felt like his again. But his revenge wasn't over. Not yet. In the weeks that followed, whispers trickled back through mutual friends. Cole didn't go looking for them, but word had a way of finding him. Madeline had moved in briefly with Travis, but it didn't last. The reality of everyday life replaced the thrill of secrecy. He grew distant, uninterested. Within weeks, she was venting to friends about his coldness. The sparkle of their affair had collapsed under the weight of responsibility. Cole didn't smile at the news. He didn't celebrate. He simply noted it. It confirmed what he already knew. Their so-called love was nothing more than a cheap escape. One Saturday morning, while he was sketching plans for a home renovation, his phone buzzed. A number he didn't recognize flashed across the screen, followed by a message. "She cared for you. One day, you'll regret this." Cole blocked the number without hesitation. Another defender, another attempt at guilt. He owed no response. That evening, as he sat on the couch with a fresh notebook in hand, the silence around him felt different. Not empty, not strained, but earned. He began jotting down goals he delayed for years. Trips he wanted to take, friends he wanted to reconnect with, ambitions he'd set aside while catering to a woman who had been living a double life. It wasn't just closure, it was reclamation. But fate wasn't finished with him yet. 2 weeks later, while grabbing groceries, Cole ran into Travis again. The man looked nothing like the confident figure from the photographs. His shirt was wrinkled, his eyes hollow, his posture slouched. When their eyes met in the aisle, Travis froze. "Cole," he muttered awkwardly, "listen about everything. I didn't mean for it to." Cole cut him off with a calm but icy tone. "You don't owe me explanations. You chose your path. She chose hers. You both got what you wanted." He paused, letting the silence linger before adding, "And what you deserved." Travis swallowed hard, his shoulders sagging. He muttered something unintelligible and walked away, leaving Cole to finish shopping in peace. That night, Cole reflected on the encounter. He realized his revenge had already taken its full form. It wasn't in the court ruling. It wasn't even the locks changed or the boxes stacked in storage. His true revenge was watching her new world collapse under the weight of its own lies, and standing untouched, unshaken, and free. For the first time in months, Cole slept soundly, knowing that every step had led him here. Not broken, not bitter, but stronger. The knock came late on a Thursday evening. Cole Harrington had just set down a glass of bourbon when he heard it. 3 hesitant taps against the front door. He already knew who it was. When he opened it, Madeline stood there. Her once polished appearance was frayed. Hair unkempt, eyes swollen from tears, clothes wrinkled like she had thrown them on without thought. For a moment, she simply stared at him, as if searching for the man who used to greet her with warmth. "Cole," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Please just hear me out." He didn't move aside. "Say what you need to say." She stepped closer, gripping the strap of her purse like it might keep her from falling apart. "Travis," he laughed. "He said I was too much. That was never serious. I was stupid, Cole. I thought I needed something different, something exciting, but it was all empty. I threw away everything real for a fantasy." Her tears streamed freely now, her hands trembling. "Please, can we fix this? I'll do anything." Cole studied her, the silence stretching heavy between them. Months ago, her words would have broken him. He would have begged for answers, for reasons, for some piece of her to cling to. But not now. Not after everything. "You want forgiveness?" he asked evenly. "Yes," she said quickly, nodding. "I'll change. I'll prove it to you." He let out a slow breath. "Forgiveness isn't the same as reconciliation. I can forgive you, Madeline. Truly. But there's nothing left here for us. You burn it all down yourself." Her face crumpled. "So that's it. 3 years gone." "No," Cole said firmly. 3 years existed. They mattered. But they ended the moment you made a choice you can't undo. Choices have consequences. This, he gestured around the apartment. This was once our home. Now it's mine. Madeline's knees weakened, and she leaned against the doorframe, sobbing quietly. Cole didn't gloat. He didn't sneer. He felt no satisfaction in her brokenness. Only clarity. "You said you needed space," he continued. "You carved out your space with him. And now, you live with what that space gave you. I won't be your safety net when the affair collapses." Her sobs grew sharper, but Cole's voice remained steady, even compassionate in its firmness. "Madeline, I wish you find peace. But it won't be here, and it won't be with me." For a long moment, she stayed there, searching his face for even the smallest crack in his resolve. There was none. Finally, she nodded, defeated. Without another word, she turned and walked down the hall, her footsteps echoing until the silence swallowed them whole. Cole closed the door gently, not with anger, but with certainty. The lock clicked into place, not just on the door, but on that chapter of his life. He returned to his bourbon, sitting quietly on the couch. For the first time, the silence around him wasn't heavy. It was liberating. He had endured betrayal, fought with patience, and crafted his revenge not through cruelty, but through control. And in the end, the greatest revenge wasn't throwing her out or humiliating her. It was living free of her, stronger than she ever expected. Cole leaned back, taking a slow sip, and let the quiet wash over him. The life ahead was unwritten, clean as the fresh pages in the notebook he had started filling. This time, every choice would be his alone, and that, he realized, was the truest victory.